On this episode of Lifeguard, road rage hits the beach.
You're still sitting in the same place. I am.
The woman's claiming she was hit by a vehicle trying to take a parking space. Sounds like it's a vehicle versus a woman. Copy that.
Over. What person would do this?
Then, Lifeguards and Delmar take to the sky.
We use the helicopters to deploy the lifeguard to the victim to at least get to a situation where we can stabilize the victim until further help arrives.
And in Huntington Beach, powerful rip currents have guards on the move.
Do you have a visual on the surfboard?
It's stuck at the end of the rip about 100+ yards offshore.
You know, when lifeguards get that call, we're never quite sure what it is. It's a confirmed missing swimmer because the swimmer had friends that were here. They were in the ocean and they came in and the other swimmer didn't. So we're going to search and assume the victim's alive for an hour, and we're going to keep searching tonight until the sun goes down.
The Lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline. And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, a lot of us are amateur meteorologists.
Good weather brings a lot of excitement, a lot of action.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
I have a 911 call of a distressed swimmer.
I like those exciting days where you don't really know what's going to happen.
Dispatch, a person injured on a vessel.
They are there to save you. They are there to lifeguard. Huntington Beach, California is home to some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And the area presents a unique weather pattern.
Huntington Beach has its own set of weather characteristics. Offshore is fairly flat, but Huntington Beach does pick up waves quite well. So the waves in Huntington Beach are usually a little bit bigger than they are a little further north or further south.
Today, a large swell is hitting Huntington Beach, causing new rip currents to form and putting lifeguards on high alert.
We've had some really big surf over the last few days. For lifeguarding, these are extremely dangerous times for us because the bottom is extremely unpredictable. It's shifting, it's moving around, it hasn't settled in yet. So we're gonna see some pretty big rip currents, probably see some pretty good shore break. The ocean's gonna be extremely unpredictable today.
Ultimately, it will be a day that sees 2 swimmers go missing before the sun sets. A day that will test the Huntington Beach lifeguards.
Hey, it's Jester Zero. Just looking at this rip. That's a big rip. There's 5 people or so.
Rip currents are our main source of rescues down here. Basically, it's an outward current of water, and you can recognize it by the sandy. It's going to be brown and choppy, and that's how we notice them down here.
Big rip opened up over here, and then when I went out, another kid got sucked out in a separate rip current. There's like an inside inshore hole, sandbar, another big inshore hole, so people getting on that sandbar and then dumping back in.
Lifeguards can often spot a swimmer in trouble, even when the swimmer doesn't know it. Lifeguard Rodolfo Nieto notices a boogie boarder caught in a rip current.
Guy's really far out, and it looked like he was waving to the lifeguard here at Tower 3. It looks like he's on his bodyboard stuck in a rip current. The boat's on scene, so the boat might try to get the guy on board unless Nieto can get there in time.
Lifeguard Nieto reaches the victim and realizes he's boogie boarding without fins, which is dangerous when strong rip currents are present. To compound the situation, the victim is also resisting the rescue, but he has no idea of the peril he's in. Lifeguard Nieto finally convinces the man to take his help before he is sucked out to sea.
I was just trying to sit on my board, trying to get a good wave. But I guess the lifeguards, you know, they seen there was problems. So, you know, he went out there, he wanted to bring me in. So we're all good, we're all good. Thank you, appreciate it, man. Strong swimmer right there.
Whenever guards leave their towers in Huntington, they are backed up by both a truck and a boat.
When the guards go out, it obviously creates an opening. And so we developed the perimeter defense. And what it initially does is it makes sure that when a guard goes out and has created a hole in that defense, we back it up and we cover it, and also the boats.
These 2 bodyboarders are at the head of a rip. They have no fins, they're sort of struggling, they're so far out. The boat's gonna go ahead and pick them up. Our boat operator is gonna drive to an area where there's no rip current, drop them off really close to shore. Once they're on board, too, he also gives them a chance to catch their breath. We can advise them, hey, you guys are in a bad rip current. You guys don't have any fins. This is what you need to do. The deckhand's telling them right now, okay, go ahead and get ready to go. Deckhand has them stand up, jump off. There goes the first victim, and there goes the second victim. And they should be able to get in really easy here and save the trip for our tower guard having to go to the full outside break, making about a 10-minute rescue and coming in.
The large swell and high surf that hit the shores of Huntington Beach have made it a long day for lifeguards. But the day is far from over.
911, do you have an emergency?
Yeah, we're over here in front of the water tower, the giant water tower, and we lost somebody in the water.
What tower number are you by?
The tower number is 26.
The lifeguards are on the way out there right now.
7 miles due north of Huntington at Surfside Beach, a 911 call has come in regarding a 24-year-old missing swimmer. This report is extremely alarming because the lifeguards at Surfside have been off duty for over an hour, making Huntington one of the closest beaches with guards still on duty.
We got a call. It's Code X call. It's a witness submersion. Somebody's gone down underwater, and we're going to go help in another department try to find this person.
We in Huntington City Beach, we get those calls regularly to assist other lifeguard agencies for resources that we might have available to them.
For a call of this nature, lifeguards are responding from all beaches in the area, including Marine units from Long Beach and a search helicopter from Huntington City Police. A quick response is imperative. With a missing swimmer in these water conditions, every passing second could be the difference between life and death. As lifeguard Darren Ham and several other units from Huntington Beach race to the missing swimmer at Surfside, lifeguard Terry Sletsky and the remaining guards of Huntington Beach receive a similar call on their home turf.
It's the Huntington Beach police helicopter, and HB1 has just spotted a surfboard in the head of a rip, and they're just asking if anybody's missing.
What HB1 has spotted is actually a kiteboard. Because of the wind conditions, Huntington Beach is one of the top destinations for advanced kiteboarders. The sighting of a kiteboard without a rider is always cause for alarm, and this board is at the end of a fierce rip current.
Have you seen anybody out on the head of that rip? Where that
I didn't see anybody.
This rip is a rather large rip. It's maybe out 100, 200 yards. So, you know, we're thinking, okay, if this board's out by itself and the owner's nowhere to be seen, then we potentially could have somebody missing.
Meanwhile, back up the coast at Surfside, lifeguards have gathered more information on the missing swimmer. He's a 24-year-old male who was swimming with 3 friends. When lifeguards went off duty at 6 p.m., the 4 swimmers were advised to get out of the water, but they decided to continue swimming. At 7:15, the 3 friends lost contact with the victim and called 911. Seal Beach Chief Joe Bailey is on scene coordinating rescue efforts from the shore.
We got a call for a missing swimmer. You know, when lifeguards get that call, we're never quite sure what it is. It's a confirmed missing swimmer because the swimmer had friends that were here. They were in the ocean and they came in and the other swimmer didn't. The first thing you want to do is set a point last seen buoy, and then you start a search from that point. You know, we have a strong current out there. We had the person was last seen in a strong rip current, and so our current today with the pretty good surf is moving fast. So we're covering all the way down to the rocks on this beach, Surfside.
Huntington Beach lifeguards, including Darren Ham, arrive on scene at 7:40 p.m.
They called us in for extra resources, extra people to look, and basically we conducted line searches.
In a line search, lifeguards line up shoulder to shoulder and search the area in shifts from the point last seen buoy, moving in the direction of the current. They will then double back and search the area in a grid-like pattern.
You never know if the swimmer's on the bottom, just underneath the surface. So what the swimmers do is they dive down in a line, they try and kick in the same speed, and they come up at the same spot and do that over and over again. So, you know, these lifeguards are in great shape, and they're well-versed and trained in how to do this swimming, this searching, and so that's what they're doing. Swimming down, swimming along the bottom, coming up, backing up a little bit to make sure they cover the whole ocean floor.
Darren Ham has just finished his 3rd shift in the water.
Basically, when a person goes down, they're full of water. They've basically inhaled water, so they're not floating anymore.
So what we're doing is we're on the bottom basically, and since visibility is limited, we're kind of feeling.
We're still searching. Lifeguards generally work under what we call the golden hour rule. So we're going to search and assume the victim's alive for an hour, and we're going to keep searching tonight until the sun goes down.
Back in Huntington Beach, lifeguard Terry Slutsky is continuing a search for a missing kiteboarder.
Do you have a visual on the surfboard?
All lifeguards direct their attention to the waves. Things happen quickly in the water. If the kiteboarder has gone under, lifeguards won't have much time. After several minutes, HB1 spots a possible owner.
Maybe you guys could try to make contact with the green and black kite between Tower 10 and 12. It might be his board. He's kind of looking off out there.
So I'm gonna see if someone lost their board.
As the helicopter begins searching for a victim at sea, lifeguard Slutsky hopes to find the owner safe on land.
When you get on scene with the kite surfer, I think it's his because he's looking in that area and he doesn't have a board with him. Asking if it's white and the scabs were colored.
Hey, is your board white?
Yeah.
HB1 from 5020. The kiteboarder that's 97 with me, he's the owner of the board.
With the missing surfer found safely on shore, lifeguards can now focus on rescuing just his board.
It's stuck at the end of the rip about 100+ yards offshore. Just sitting there, not going anywhere.
What happened, HB1 flew over. They saw the board, and they were like, hey, well, we missed anybody because the board's sitting out there at the head of the rip.
Wow. I hit a wave on the way out, caught a little air wrong, kicked my board off. You know, just got pummeled by a few waves following. Usually the waves push it in. It's a drag to be sitting out here on the beach, boardless. How far is it out there?
I don't know, let me get an exact location for you. 0 from 20. Can you give me an exact 20 of the board?
Looks like right off of your 20, if not closer to Tower 12.
10-4. You just got it.
That's awesome.
In Huntington Beach, a missing kiteboarder is something the guards never take lightly. But today, there's a happy ending.
Thanks, Doug! I could imagine if you had to swim out there and try to find it, because we had a hard time.
Yeah, you can't see it very well.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Even from 0, they had a hard time.
One happy taxpayer. Thank you very much.
No worries.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
What was your name?
Terry.
Terry. See you around the beach, huh?
Yeah.
Thanks, Terry.
All right.
Back in Surfside, the search for the missing swimmer has gone on for over an hour and 25 minutes. And unfortunately, lifeguards have determined that the time of survival has passed. This rescue has become a recovery.
At some point, it becomes more of it's a body recovery. You know, after a certain amount of time, the chances of survival are pretty much eliminated. We're pretty much at a point of doing body recovery, and now it's getting to the point where it's getting dark, increasing swell. It's kind of not very safe to continue the search.
After searching into the night and exhausting their resources, the lifeguards find no sign of the missing swimmer.
At some point, you got to be able to let go of it, and just you operate on a professional level, and at some point you just let go of it and you go home. Maybe give your family an extra hug or two. Tell them you love them an extra couple times.
More than 2 weeks later, the 24-year-old's body is recovered.
The victim recovery actually took place 15 days after the initial drowning. The body was found about 3/4 of a mile away at the end of one of the jetties, which is at a harbor entrance for Huntington Harbor. And then the body's passed on to the coroner, and they completed their investigation.
In Del Mar, California, the summer's warm weather is keeping droves of beachgoers on the sand and in the surf. And nobody has their eyes on the beach quite like Del Mar lifeguard chief, Pat Verne.
My job here in Del Mar is all weather conducive. So if the sun's out, the water's warm, the place is packed. It's wall-to-wall people, and obviously that brings in more action, more things to worry about, more things to react to.
Station 3, 3D1, South Border, Code 4, 4 surface, 1 swimmer.
10-4.
I've been here in Del Mar for 30 years, started as a student lifeguard and then kind of worked my way up the ranks. I was actually in high school here playing water polo, and the lifeguard captain at the time came to our water polo games and would try to recruit us for a summer job. And the idea of working on the beach certainly appealed to me, and it's been great ever since.
Even with long summer days and big beach crowds, Pat and his lifeguards know that when the summer's over and water conditions change for the worse, they'll need to be prepared to use more advanced tools for their rescues. Helicopters. The lifeguards, fire department, and Coast Guard all use helicopters to aid in water rescues. In this dramatic footage, a Coast Guard paramedic is lowered into dangerous surf to help 2 victims whose boat had capsized in a winter storm.
During the winter time, when we have very large surf, it's going to take us a little while to get the lifeguard to a potential victim, whether it be by boat or swimming out. We use the helicopters to deploy the lifeguard to the victim to at least get to a situation where we can stabilize the victim until further help arrives.
Today, the Del Mar Lifeguards will be flying high in conjunction with the San Diego Sheriff's Department.
The ship is going to be turning, so be aware of that. Do not walk anywhere past this part of the aircraft right here, okay? You got the tail rotor back there. That's definitely at, chest to head height. That will kill you if you get hit by it. And then you got the exhaust coming out of the stack right here. It's very hot. It'll give you like a 3rd-degree burn. Now, for whoever is on the pilot side of the aircraft, be aware that there's a collective right here, all right? This collective is what makes the aircraft go up and down. Do not put your hand on this collective, all right? We'll lift off, we'll fly you out, past the surf zone. All you gotta do is you just gotta step off together. Just step right off the skid, and then do your thing that you do as lifeguards when you hit the water.
I mean, we want to be in a position when we actually need to do a rescue using the helicopter that we've been trained. We don't have to sit around, go through briefings. The helicopter lands, the lifeguards get onto the side of the skids, and then they take off.
The very first time I was really scared. It's just it was so foreign and holding on to the outside of a helicopter. You're not strapped in at all, but once you did it once, you just want to keep doing it.
So awesome, man. That was good practice, wasn't it?
For now, the conditions are calm, but a rescue during a winter storm would involve extremely volatile waters and a dangerous environment. So the guards must perfect their technique during today's training.
Once the lifeguard's been deployed to the victim and stabilizes the victim, the way we're going to get him back to shore is using one of our rescue boats. So it's a critical component.
No one knows whether the coming winter will produce large storm swells in Del Mar. But with today's training, the lifeguards will be prepared to handle the worst.
So awesome. Loved it.
Having the best trained lifeguards is probably the most important thing of my whole job. You have to have the best trained, you have to have good people, good motivation, and I think I definitely have accomplished that in Del Mar.
San Diego's Ocean Beach is one of the most popular spots to cool off when the weather's warm, and today is no exception.
Here in Ocean Beach, it's mid-70s. The air is clear, the sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, and it's hotter on the inland, so we're expecting good crowds and a fun day.
With weather like this, thousands of cars are expected to make the journey to the beach, which makes beachfront parking a hot commodity.
Lifeguard dispatch, receiving a 911 call, Ocean Beach. Sounds like it's a vehicle versus a woman.
Copy that. We received a 911 call of an unknown medical aid.
The woman's claiming she was hit by a vehicle trying to take a parking space. She's sitting on top of her cooler.
Sergeant Harris and lifeguard Lonnie Stevens arrive expecting the worst.
You're still sitting in the same place?
I am. You're still sitting in the same damn place. Have another drink. My name's James.
I haven't had one drink.
What do you want in the Department of Motor Fuel?
Basically, it wasn't a medical aid. It was a dispute between a parking spot over a parking spot.
Do you have any medical condition?
I have asthma, bad.
Okay, ma'am. We need paramedics. I'd like to keep you on the beach.
Is there anything that we need to do for you medically?
Okay. All right.
She basically stated that she was saving a parking spot, and a gentleman in a car tried to come in, and according to her story, was to take the spot from her, and that he kept pushing forward until she either fell or was run over by the car.
This particular individual had a cooler full of, personal items, and she refused to move them, so I ran the over and parked my car in the parking spot. She claimed injury, so I called 911 in case she was injured. I'm just like, yeah, you're just laying there trying to look injured so that I look bad. Let's call a spade a spade. Then her husband showed up.
How did all this stuff get like that?
He kicked it out from under
That's what I'm saying.
literally.
What person would do this?
He kicked it out from under.
We're not going to get into it right now, guys.
The 911 call has triggered a response from paramedics and police.
We call 911, everybody just comes. Ran me over. I was sitting right here.
In this case, it wasn't a medical aid. We ascertained that fairly early, so we were able to separate the individuals.
Write down her name, some witness information.
When police arrived, they delved down more into who's at fault and what needs to happen to resolve the situation.
In the end, both parties were in the wrong. In San Diego, it's illegal to hold a public parking spot while someone else is waiting. It's also illegal to run over someone's personal property. If this had been a football game, the referees would have called offsetting penalties and replayed the down. Both parties were warned and advised to have a good day at the beach.
Have a good day.
On this episode of Lifeguard, treacherous cliff rescues in Southern California have Del Mar Lifeguards going over the edge.
No matter how well practiced you are, things can happen.
Then, guards from San Diego brace for impact as large waves make landfall.
We had a set roll through several minutes ago that was high enough to break the top railing, and somebody got knocked down. And so just to keep people from getting injured, we got to take them off the pier.
Attention folks, we are closing the pier due to large surf.
It's certainly large, and you got to be at the top of your game. But when it gets bigger, it gets in the 20-foot range, and it really becomes even more dangerous.
But it's only a matter of time before the surf claims its first victim.
And I got pushed down to the bottom, I would say 30 feet down. I just remember I need to get to the surface as I was out of air.
And it's a race to get the stranded surfer to the hospital.
Copy that, let's move away. This is near drowning incident.
The Lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline. And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, a lot of us are amateur meteorologists.
Good weather brings a lot of excitement, a lot of action.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
I have a 911 call of a distressed swimmer.
I like those exciting days where you don't really know what's going to happen.
Dispatch, a person injured on a vessel.
They are there to save you. They are there to lifeguard. At nearly 65 million square miles, the Pacific Ocean is the largest body of water on the planet. It is also the breeding ground for some of the Earth's most dynamic weather. And the lifeguards know that weather from the middle of the ocean can produce the largest waves on the coast of Southern California.
It's certainly large, and you got to be at the top of your game, but you know, when it gets bigger, it gets in the 20-foot range, then it really becomes even more dangerous.
The waves hitting San Diego today are the result of a storm off the coast of Japan that sent a powerful swell on a collision course with Southern California.
There was a big storm that came off of Japan, drove across the Central Pacific. It was approximately a 12-foot swell at 17-second intervals, meaning there's 17 seconds between the peaks of the waves, and the wider that period is, the deeper the waves reach, the more powerful, faster ground speed. So this is a fast break with a lot of power. The waves come in sets, and sometimes the sets are 30 minutes apart. So if somebody were to walk out on the tip of a rocky point during a 20 minutes worth of lull and standing there watching, and all of a sudden a rogue set comes in, you could be washed quickly into the water and be in trouble in a hurry. So in big surf, you got to keep your wits about you, you got to keep breath control, and when the waves come, you duck underneath them, and then you get the heck out of Dodge.
This storm swell is producing waves so powerful that the guards are forced to close several of San Diego's piers.
We had a set roll through several minutes ago that was high enough to break the top railing, and somebody got knocked down, and so just to keep people from getting injured, we got to take them off the pier.
Attention folks, we are closing the pier due to large surf. If you could all head east, please.
The weather is a huge part of our job. The weather is what drives the surf, and that's what we're dealing with. It's an integral part of the ocean. The storms we get, the wind we get, it all changes the ocean that we're dealing with. I still remember when I was 13, it was the first huge El Nino storm, and my dad took us out of school and he said, we're gonna go look at the surf. And we came down to this beach and half of the pier had collapsed and the waves were 20 to 30 feet. I mean, it was a pretty incredible time. And I think that just really inspired me to be in the ocean and be challenged by it.
Some of the largest surf in San Diego is being produced in a remote and rocky area just north of Pacific Beach, which is exactly where the lifeguards received their first call of the day.
Dispatch to North PB 21 Sam for a surfer that's injured.
The 911 call came in, and the 911 caller was reporting that there was an injured surfer, unconscious. He was pulled out of the water, and that lifeguards were needed.
On patrol in the Pacific Beach area when the call comes in is Sergeant Ben Lewis.
21 Sam, sounds like the surfer's on the rocks, possible near drowning.
At that point, I immediately called for backup because I knew we were going to need additional personnel way out there on the rocks. It's difficult to access and we can't drive out there with the truck, so it's a matter of getting out there on foot.
Fire, this is Lifeguards requesting medics at the foot of Sea Ridge for injured surfer. Copy that, 21 Sam on scene.
Lifeguards Lewis and Darling are the first responders.
I got on scene just as my sergeant did in his vehicle and grabbed the med pack and just started heading out towards the victim.
Just moments earlier, two brave bystanders entered the thunderous surf and pulled the injured 57-year-old man out of the water.
We both saw a guy, in a little trouble out there, He didn't, he was hurting, it looked like, trying to swim in, like no power to it. But then right when he got to the reef, sort of just clanged onto it and didn't move for a while. So me and Jim went out there and helped him out.
We were able to grab him under each arm. Surf was still, way overhead.
Yeah, still
it went over us while we were helping him out, and we dragged him up into shallower water where we were able to lay him on his side and get him to cough up a lot of water.
This guy had a hard time making it in without his board, and by the time he made it into the rocks at PB Point, he was exhausted, had spent some time underwater, and may have swallowed some or even inhaled some water.
If the injured surfer inhaled any amount of salt water into his lungs, he could be suffering from secondary drowning.
When that salt water gets into your lungs, the body tries to compensate for that, and fluid rushes in to basically desalinate the lungs, so make it less salty. And so your lungs fill up with fluid, and that's where we get our air from, and so basically you drown from inside.
The man's vital signs are dropping, so the lifeguards can't risk moving him, but they have to figure out something quickly. The tide is rising, and this rocky area will be underwater within 20 minutes. 80 miles up the coast in Huntington Beach, lifeguards are responding to an emergency call of their own. But there's a problem. They don't know what's wrong.
Right now, we are responding to Tower 17. We're going to be the backup unit. The tower guard's responding behind his tower to unknown trouble.
I think your stress level goes up a little bit when you're responding to something that you don't know the details about. But you try and squash those feelings as quick as possible because you know that you're the person that they're relying on for help.
You hear everybody?
When we have an individual who is young, who is lethargic, just not acting normally for what a 10 or 12-year-old should be acting like, that's a huge red flag for us.
Why don't you go and board? Why don't we go get the medics?
Now it's our job to figure out what that problem is and get the proper treatment as soon as possible.
Stay with us, bud. Keep your eyes open.
Stay awake.
Stay awake.
Come on, buddy.
Take some nice, slow, deep breaths.
Keep breathing. Come on.
What's the last thing you ate? Rice. Did you feel okay after you ate?
Yeah.
Okay. Any tingling in your toes? Anything like that? Yeah, rule out cervical. Can you see me?
I can see your face and I can see your circle.
Okay. Is your vision blurry? A little bit blurry? Okay. Okay, relax there, pal. Just take some nice, slow, deep breaths, okay?
Well, right now they're just assessing him to find out what happened to the victim. I just got information from the sister that he fell in the shower a day prior and blacked out.
Could have been a serious injury that is now just presenting itself a day later. Anything that happens in the events leading up to what happens on the beach for us today, that is significant.
Keep breathing. Come on, come on. Keep breathing. Take deep breaths. Come on.
When the paramedics arrived on scene, I gave them a quick update on victim status so that they can move forward with care and get that person to the hospital as soon as possible.
Well, buddy, we better take you to the doctor, get you checked out today, okay?
After examining the boy, the medics confirmed that he needs further medical attention. But with his location on the sand, the lifeguards must quickly transport him to the ambulance in the parking lot.
For us, the most significant calls are calls including children. You try and distance yourself from that and just rely on making sure the person gets the proper treatment, then you know you're doing the right job.
In San Diego, powerful waves, formed by a storm halfway around the world, are punishing the coastline. And lifeguards have responded to a 911 call of a surfer who nearly drowned in the turbulent waters. Given the injured surfer's location on a remote outcropping of rocks, the rescuers now face the difficult task of transporting him to the hospital before it's too late.
21 Sam, would the helicopter be an alternative for transport?
Copy that. Let's do hoist. This is a near drowning incident, and he's NO times. I'll follow it. 1.
Copy that, and Copter 2 is responding.
8 miles inland, San Diego Fire Copter 2 embarks for the coast, while the rescue workers on scene continue their attempt to stabilize the victim.
Do you have a lifeguard that you can deploy to start clearing the area for the helicopter?
Grab your board. Help. Get out of here.
21 Sam, I see we're ready for the medic insertion.
Just minutes after being dispatched, Copter 2 arrives on scene, ready to hoist down rescue medic Scott Pearson.
We came doors open, and I was hoisted down on the wire with the equipment that I would need to extricate this patient.
Due to the violent downwash of the rotor blades, Copter 2 performs an advanced maneuver for the hoist insertion.
What we do is a European style of hoisting, where we will maintain forward flight, and we will be in a forward motion and lowering down the rescuer at the same time. So by the time we get directly over the victim, we're no more than 10 feet off the ground, and you're just on the ground in just a matter of seconds.
Now on the ground, paramedic Pearson makes his way across the slippery, moss-covered rocks to the victim. And after a medical download from the team on the ground, he understands their fear for the surfer.
One of the things that we're really concerned about in cases like this is secondary drowning. Because of the salt content of our ocean, it doesn't take much water to disturb the balance and flow of fluids across the membranes in the lungs. And that's what will cause the secondary drowning.
With the potential for secondary drowning, the team must get the man into the helicopter and to the hospital immediately. The first step is placing the victim in a specialized bag.
Loaded him up into what we call a Bauman bag, which is kind of an encapsulating sleeping bag that's got a harness built right into it that hooks into the hoist wire.
With the man now packaged in the bag, paramedic Pearson signals to Copter 2 that he is ready for extraction. And as Copter 2 begins its approach, the rescuers leave the area to avoid its hazardous downwash. With the winds picking up, Copter 2 must maintain a steady course as it lowers the hoist cable down to the victim. Successfully grabbing the cable, paramedic Pearson quickly makes the connection and Copter 2 departs for a local hospital. This precision extraction is the end result of a combined effort by rescue workers and a couple of brave locals.
All right, you guys, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hope he does well.
Oh, yeah, me too. We, as lifeguards, really appreciate citizen help. They were the beginning of saving this man's life, and then we just kind of came in and finished up.
The guy was in trouble. He was in serious trouble at water's edge there, and they ran down and helped him out. It's not the first time local surfers in the community have helped people in the water and helped us help people, and they were an integral and key part of that rescue.
Take care. Be safe out in the water.
These are the days we train for. I grew up on this beach, and for me to make a difference here is, I mean, just makes me feel incredible. So I'm very lucky to have this job and have that opportunity.
In Del Mar, California, the ocean is not the only source of potential danger. Jagged cliffs looming over the ocean pose a threat to beachgoers on foot and in the air. These cliffs are a popular but treacherous spot, which is why Del Mar lifeguard Mark Rathson is in charge of cliff training.
We're on our way up to our North Beach bluffs where we do a lot of our cliff rescue training. I think North Beach is treacherous for the everyday walker or hiker because it is so inviting to go to the top and look over the edge. And once you go over the edge, it is sandstone, so you pretty much can't make it back up.
What makes these cliffs so dangerous is the weather. Del Mar's bluffs erode to unstable conditions during the heavy rains of winter, creating loose rocks and footholds in the summer.
Everybody grab a radio. What started me with lifeguarding in the early years was my love of the ocean. I enjoyed surfing and playing water polo, and I did junior guards, and junior guards really hooked me on it. I was always comfortable in the water, which makes it a lot easier to become a lifeguard. It is a natural progression to want to learn more and become an instructor and teach the things you've learned to the rookies that are coming up and the younger guards. These cliff rescues can be very dangerous. You're 100 feet over the surf, and things can happen. So that's why we train on a regular basis so they don't.
Today's training session is essential as cliff rescues in Southern California come in all shapes and sizes. From extracting injured cliff divers at San Diego's famous Sunset Cliffs.
Got him. Slow. The glider down scissors, Charlie, requesting a cliff response.
To airlifting those in dire need of medical care. And saving hikers desperately stranded hundreds of feet above Black's Beach. The guards risk life and limb to rescue those in peril. And without the proper training today, they won't be ready for the real thing tomorrow. This afternoon, Mark oversees the training exercise that simulates a stranded hiker rescue.
The responder is going to be you, Steve. You're going to go down on the main line.
Lifeguard Steve Glass will be the rescuer in the operation, while Kaylee Emerson will belay him from above.
As the rescuer on his way to the victim, I'm first of all thinking about my own safety, and there's always danger. No matter how many times you do it, no matter how well practiced you are, it's always nerve-wracking when you take your first step over the edge.
As Steve makes his move, he has to clearly relay his progress to Kaylee, or it could spell disaster.
Communication is very important in the cliff rescue. You don't know if it's going to be a real windy day. You don't know if you're going to be working underneath a helicopter or at night. Sometimes you can't communicate via radio, and it's hand signals. So it's important to be able to train and be proficient at it at all times.
Kaylee, stop.
With Steve in position, it's imperative that all the lifeguards work together. The team up top must manage the lines. Otherwise, Terry and Steve won't be able to navigate the face of the cliff.
There's a lot to make high-angle rescue dangerous. There's a lot of unknowns. There's a lot of people coordinating to do some pretty technical things, and whenever that happens, there's the capacity for missteps and errors.
As the sandstone crumbles and falls, it's a concerted effort to get the lifeguards on solid ground.
As an instructor, it is nice to see what you've taught pay off. When the light switch comes on, it's when it's really pretty fun.
Topside word, code 4, then back to the beach.
After a powerful storm in the Pacific Ocean, California received some of the biggest surf of the year. And when the storm Swell made landfall in San Diego, it produced extremely large and hazardous waves. The surf community came out in large numbers to brave the elements. But the big waves brought big danger. Perhaps no one experienced the raw power of those waves more so than surfer Robert Brooks.
There was a set coming in, and I was trying to get further outside than where I was sitting. I was looking up at like a two-story sized building of a wave. So I tried to go through it, and I just remember going back into the falls and my board being ripped from me, and I got pushed down to the bottom, I would say 30 feet down. I just remember I need to get to the surface, and I was just like, how high is it gonna be before I reach the surface, because I was out of air. A few waves pushed me into shore, and I was just at the mercy of the sea, and I just knew my day has come. That's when two of the guardian angels I call Southern California Lifeguards said, we're gonna help you. I don't remember too much. I just found myself inside a helicopter, and I don't remember how I got there. Fortunately, those lifeguards were there. Otherwise, you know, I could have been getting my last breath on that rock.
Now fully recovered, Robert returns to the beach.
Hey.
Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
Looking good.
I appreciate being rescued.
It's not often we get to see somebody after we rescue them, especially something like that, so it's...
Well, I feel you saved my life, so it's the least I can do is to come and shake your hand and thank you.
Yeah, let me get you your board.
Right.
Believe it or not, your board, even though it blew up on the rocks, we had the guys in the helicopter help us spot it on the rocks because we couldn't find it from down where we were, but it's no dings, no damage at all.
I thought it'd be crunching the rocks for sure.
That thing. Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Believe it or not, no damage.
Another miracle.
Take care, man.
All right,
you gonna get in the water again soon?
It'll be a while, but I'll get back out there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, come say hi.
All right.
See ya.
Thank you, lifeguards. You do work that, I mean, you save people's lives. What can I say?